So today's Tuesday, and my first trip is west towards the mountains in a pickup truck. So I'm driving a Ford 350 diesel, and the distance is almost 50 kilometers, 30 miles, and I'm just picking up a load of scaffolding. Not even a big load, light. So I'm driving and enjoying the views of the mountains. Life is pretty good. So by now I did basically 3 days of driving for Lyft. And so today's Tuesday, right? So Saturday I drove about 6 to 7 hours from 11 to 6, and then Sunday pretty much the same. And then Monday I tried something crazy because there was a scheduled drive available, or scheduled ride rather. And a guy wanted to go at 5 o'clock in the morning towards to the airport. So he was paying like, I don't know, $12 for 9 kilometers, but I was curious to see how it works. And so I reserved it, and the app told me that I have to be online. I have to check in before 4:30, and then they will give me this ride for 5 o'clock. Okay, so I'm a trustful guy, so I set my alarm for 4 o'clock. I get up at 4, I'm in my car at 20 minutes past 4. It's still dark, there's no people outside, it feels like I'm on the moon. And I check in on the app, I go online.
Watch out, vehicle on shoulder ahead.
I go online and I don't see that a ride I pre-booked. I look on the app, cannot find it, so the ride disappeared. And so I wasn't sure what to do. I'm already wide awake. It's 4:40 in the morning, but my app was still active. And 4:45 they gave me another ride. There was a girl going from my area to the nearby large transit station. I'm guessing buses maybe don't run that well in the morning, so she was going basically to the LTR station, light transit station. I think I made I forgot, $5, $7, And then they gave me another ride, maybe 20 minutes after that, also in my area. And by the time I got there, I was 200-300 meters away, and all the information disappeared from my screen. I'm like, what? No warning, nothing. I was driving, following the directions, right? And then all of a sudden, the map disappears. But then a couple of moments later, I see at the top where they show you the money, it says $3.85, and then I stopped and I clicked on the details. I clicked on that number, and it gives you details, and it says customer canceled. So customer canceled, and so they charged him a fee. And so when I got in my car Monday, so finally my Sirius XM stopped working. It was stuck on channel 1, like a preview with lots of advertising. And I thought I extended it. I paid $20 on the day before for something called Sirius XM Guardian, because they kept sending me emails. Hey, you have 5 days left, 2 days left. And turns out I subscribed to the wrong thing. So it turns out XM Guardian has nothing to do with the radio. It's just a security package. And I just wasted $18.50. And so I found a different, I went back to my apartment for a second, and I found a different email from Sirius XM Canada. And then I went online. It says extend your subscription here. And so my first year was free because it's, they give you 1 year for free with a new purchase, my new Jeep. And I went there, and right away there was a promotional message says if you subscribe now for 1 year, we'll only charge you $5, of course, Canadian, $5 a month. And after that it's going to be $18.95 or something. And so I signed up, so now I have 1 more year pretty much at $5 a month. So that's one thing that happened. And also, so back to the Lyft, I mentioned before I was afraid I would have to file my GST and HST, whatever, GST, sales tax. But when I look at the details of each ride, whatever they pay me, I see that they deduct the GST, the goods and sales tax. So they pay it themselves. So I don't have to worry about GST. I don't have to submit it to the government. But basically, I lose that. They show it as charged, and then it's taken out. And so they pay every Tuesday. And so first day, 5 passengers in 7 hours. I made $65. Sunday, I think I had 8 passengers in the same about 7 hours. I made probably $90. But Sunday I decided to be smart, and I also brought one of my bags for food delivery, and I was alternating between DoorDash and Lyft. Whenever Lyft was stuck in a limbo, like there's no rides for 10, 15, 30 minutes, I would start DoorDash, and basically if DoorDash gives me an order, I go to the Lyft app, and there's no pause, but I just go offline. And so, for example, there was an interesting situation. I wanted to say delivered. I brought 2 guys from kind of like central Calgary to it looks like they work at Amazon. There's a big warehouse in near Cross Iron Mills, and then I'm stuck there, and I don't see any rides, and so I started DoorDash, and right away they gave me 2 orders that were picking up from Cross Iron Mills food court, and they took me back to the right where I wanted to go, to like Calgary North, and I made $22. And so DoorDash or any food delivery like Uber Eats, but I don't have Uber Eats right now. It's still blocked, right? I'm still waiting for that Friday video call. So hopefully Friday Uber will start working on my TNDL, my taxi license. But for now, my Uber Eats is blocked. I only have access to Lyft for taxi and DoorDash for food deliveries, but they combine very nicely together, And then yesterday, Tuesday, so I did 2 rides, like that girl to the transit station, and then the cancellation. And then in the evening, I decided to see if I can, right from work, I went to a nearby shopping plaza, and I put myself online, and I didn't see anything for like probably half an hour, so I drove back home, changed into more comfortable clothes, my sneakers, and there's a order came in. It says $12.
Turn right onto James Walker Trail.
$12, 22 kilometers, so not very good. But at this point, I take everything just to learn. But the curious thing is that it said the pickup was, and I quote,
for 1.5 kilometers.
And I quote, 25 meters away. I'm like, what? 25 meters away? That means it's my building. But it was a bit confusing because they show you the little picture of a person standing. So it was a bit confusing where the guy was, because I saw it was a guy's name. Some Indian name. And I drove around my building, and then finally I realized where he was. He was on the first floor of my building, and I'm on the first floor, but he was on the other side of the main entrance. And when I was finishing my circle, I see a guy comes out of the door, and he waves at me because he could see my my car on the app, right? And so it turns out the guy is a trucker, and he works for a big trucking outfit south, like in southeast of Calgary, and that's where he was going. And so we had a nice conversation. So he drives locally, and he asked me, he says, did you try to drive locally? And I said, hey, that's what I do now, but you know, I drive a 5-ton truck, right? But nice guy. But the only problem is that I didn't bring my bag for DoorDash, and so I was stuck there, and it's like outside of the ring road. And I look on the app, I don't see any icons, you know, for any available, you know, passengers. And so I just drove back towards central Calgary, didn't see anything, and then finally caught one more ride. Looks like the guy was returning from work, and it was just, I don't know, $5, you know, for 3 kilometers.
In 50 meters at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Willow Street.
And then I started driving, you know, and I was very tired because I got up so early. I wanted to go 8 o'clock to the airport.
Turn right onto Willow Park Point.
Because the app said that there was a lot of arrivals, you know, lots of flights arriving around 8 p.m. But I was too tired, so I went home. And so yeah, the radio is subscribed to again, satellite radio. And the GST.
Turn right onto Willow Park Point, then your destination will be on the left.
So the GST is no longer an issue. So what's the other news I wanted to mention? So yeah, I'm doing the video with my autobiography. So the next installment coming out on next Sunday. And so yeah, this Friday is an important day because I have to, at 5 o'clock, I have to be on the app with Uber and do a virtual.
Your destination is on the left.
And do a virtual phone call. Okay, where's my building? So I'm picking up some scaffolding over here. And I'm sorry, sorry for the vertical orientation, but what? The garage is open. Oh, okay. Like I was parked. I didn't see the wall, so that's my scaffolding over there. Just 2 frames, 2 yellow braces, 10-footers, 2 decks, and that's it. 2 frames, 2 decks, and 2 braces. And I'm 50 kilometers away from our yard, and so I'm guessing this is the nearest place where they could have rented this. Okay, I have to put time in. 7:48. And probably after this, maybe I'll go on a Freightliner. So now I'm on my way to my second pickup. So I just stopped at this nice 7-Eleven. Got some fancy water. Glacial spring water. It was $1.99. I believe it's half a liter. 500 ml. Yeah. Glacial water. And they have those fancy coffee machines, you know, beans to cup, and one of the machines you can get Americano. And I asked the guy, I said, do they work? He says, no, that one with Americano doesn't works 50-50. He says it overheats. So I just got regular dark roast coffee. So my pickup is 30 clicks away, 21 minutes, in a rural area west of Calgary, and I'm picking up a wheeled vibratory plow. It's basically, it's like a machine with a Honda motor and a blade in the front and two very wide wheels. Oh, and another news, yesterday the boss came over to me and he says, well, they didn't think you would last this long. I said, what do you mean? Well, today it's officially 3 months, so your probation period is over. But he says, and then of course he says, I'm joking. Nobody said that, like that I would not last. And so from now on it's $24 an hour. Oh wow, I'm gonna be rich. And so overtime jumps up to 32, but I haven't seen much overtime lately.
Head east on River Heights Drive, Township Road 254A.
Even though they said summer is supposed to be busy, but yesterday.
Head northwest on River Heights Lane, Grange Road 42A toward River Heights View.
Yeah, yesterday.
Continue for 1 kilometer.
Shut up. Yesterday they sent me home at 4 p.m. right on the money. And I remember I was here before. I might have delivered this scaffolding because I remember this area. Anyway, and he gives me the form for benefits. He says, I don't know if you are interested in this, but it's 80-20. We pay 80%, you pay 20%. Covers, you know, dental, doctor visits, you know, eyesight, stuff like that, glasses, you know. I said, hey, I need it because I'm a very old man. No, actually, I don't feel old, but numbers don't lie, right? So I'm 62 years old now. Where did the time go?
In 200 meters, turn left onto Highway 22.
So the plan today is with Lyft. I do like that app, you know, even though it doesn't
turn left onto Highway 22.
Doesn't have too many rides, but everything works like a charm. Basically, your phone beeps, or you can activate flashing.
Continue on Highway 22 for 8 kilometers.
I did that mistake. I activated that flashing feature, and the phone would flash for like freaking 15 seconds. It would not stop. Like whatever you touch on the screen does not help. And so that flashing only lasted one order, and then I went into the menu and canceled it because yeah, it's really annoying. But basically, you know, the phone beeps just kind of like Uber Eats or DoorDash, right? And it gives you the info about the offer, gives you the price, and shows you how far the pickup is, and then distance to the drop, from the pickup to the drop. So you can quickly, you only have 15 seconds. That's what I don't like, is that it's so fast. You know, with DoorDash, I think you have 30 seconds to decide whether to take it or not, and with Uber Eats, I think it's the same. But these guys only give you 15 seconds, you know? And so if you don't do anything, it disappears. Once, I remember that girl that was going to the transit station, I think first I didn't take it, and then 5 minutes later they offered it to me again because I guess there was no other drivers at 4:45 in the morning. And I don't see any penalties yet. Like, let's say if I don't accept the order, like DoorDash, starts basically screaming at you, right? If you cancel, if you don't deny or whatever, decline, it says, are you sure? Your acceptance rate will go from, let's say, 54 to 53%. Like, are you sure? Uber doesn't care. Uber Eats, you can cancel as many as you want. I cancel probably, when I had Uber Eats, I canceled 9 out of 10. And I know Lyft has something, because I read online that people got terminated, like they will send you a message, hey, your contract is done, because if somebody declines too much, I think there's a percentage you're supposed to be above, and so that's why I pretty much take everything they give me. And yeah, even that yesterday, 22 kilometers, like imagine, so Monday I did a total of 96 clicks, but 7 was to work and 7 back from work, so basically let's say 80 kilometers total, but I only made $25, which is like unacceptable. But that's because I didn't have my DoorDash bag with me. Otherwise, when I was sitting in the dead area after I drop off the guy to the Transax terminal, I could have just drove west and got some, couple of food deliveries to get me back to my area. So yeah, that's the plan. I started saying the plan for the day. After work, I'm gonna go home because it's useless to do this at 4 or 5 p.m. So I'm gonna go home, maybe play with my kettlebells because I didn't do it this morning, got lazy. Take a shower, have something to eat, and then maybe come out around like 7:30. Because again, I think they're expecting a bunch of flights coming in at the airport around 8 o'clock. And I'm gonna bring my DoorDash bag. And so again, I'm gonna combine DoorDash and Lyft because I really like that combo, like if you're stuck in a bad spot, you can do DoorDash. And now my condo passed, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but my condo wants me to pay $905 by July 1st. Because these guys, the board of directors, they hired somebody to analyze their reserve fund, and the study found that their reserve fund was underfunded, and so now everybody has to pay depending on the footage of the apartment. Actually, mine is the lowest. Like I see other guys that have 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom, they have to pay like $1,400, Just kind of like a one-time payment. And so now I have to find $900 by July 1st, so that's where this Lyft taxi comes in. And then by August 1st, I have another big expenditure, because I don't know if people realize this, so being a freight broker, it is kind of like expensive, right? Because you have to maintain the insurance.
In 500 meters, use the right lane to take the Alberta 1 East Trans-Canada Highway ramp to Calgary.
So you have to maintain, the bond, broker's bond, and that bond you kind of like rent it. So there's an annual fee, and when I started this last summer, I had to pay, I think it was $900.
Use the right lane to take the Alberta 1 East ramp, then merge onto Trans-Canada Highway.
It was $950 US, which is like 1,300 Canadian, a lot of money. And so they just sent me a bill saying, I think I have until August 1st to find this $950 US. And speaking of freight brokerage, I had a couple of guys reach out looking for
Continue on
quotes.
Alberta 1 east for 11 kilometers.
One gentleman wants to buy a mini excavator in Nova Scotia, and he wants me to bring it to Massachusetts. And at first I wasn't sure how big was the excavator. I said, how much does it weigh? And he says, 12,000 pounds. Oh, I said, okay, so it's like a baby. So it's gonna be, and I told him, I said, it can be a partial load, depending on, I gave him like a rough quote, but I said, depending on the specific truck supply situation on that day when you're ready to ship, it can be either cheaper or more expensive. Like somebody might take it as a partial load, right? So the cheapest would be like a step deck with ramps. And again, he bought it at an auction. Of course, he's American, and so he said, yeah, it's a lot cheaper in Canada, but he never dealt with customs. And so I told him, I said, you have to go to, as a freight broker, I don't deal with customs, right? You have to do your own clearance, so you have to hire a customs broker. And the way to do that is you have to go to the CBP website, Customs and Border Protection, and decide what border crossing you want the truck to use, like the nearest one probably to Nova Scotia, let's say, maybe Alexandria Bay, I don't know, 1,000 Islands. And then CBP on their website, they have a list of all these ports, and when you click on the port, they'll give you the names of customs brokers that service that port, and then you can hire one of those. They'll ask you for some money up front. And the guy asked me if I know how much it'll cost. I said, I don't know. Depends if it's made in the States, this machinery. If it's made in the States, usually there's no duties. There can be just a sales tax that you pay at the border. Like I know when somebody brings something from US to Canada, they just have to pay the sales tax based on which province they're entering. Let's say Ontario, it'll be 13%, Alberta 5%, right? But I'm not sure how much they have to pay when it's in the reverse from Canada to US. But anyway, I gave him the resources. This is where you find the customs brokers, and he said he'll get back to me once he has a idea how much customs clearance would cost. And then I got another text this morning. A gentleman bought a dozer in BC, and he wants it to be shipped to Alberta. And he sent me a couple of pictures, just the make and model, and it has a pretty massive blade. So I asked him for other dimensions like length and height. He was not sure, but now I have the make and model and the year. I can research it further. But dozers usually are not that tall, right? So this thing is about 75,000 pounds. So it needs an RGN trailer, probably 20 feet long, maybe 10, 11 high. That's what I'm thinking. So now I'm gonna get the gentleman a quote, and this one, he's not just pricing it out, it's ready to go because he already bought the machine, which doesn't happen too often. Mostly when people ask me for quotes, they're just bidding. They're bidding on something and they want to know how much to bid.
Take exit 172, bound Coach Road.
And so they need to know how much the shipping will cost. And I do enjoy it, you know, it's interesting. You work with numbers, you work with people, you know, the freight brokerage. You provide the service. You help people figure out how to do something, right? So I'm definitely going to continue doing that, but I also need to put some money on the table from I do like taxi as well as a side gig, because you meet a lot of people. It's interesting. So the first day, everybody was talkative, and then Sunday and Monday, most people would just get in, we say hi, how are you, and they stay silent, or they talk on their phone, usually in a foreign language. I'm guessing Punjabi or Hindu or something like that, or Mandarin. And I just get them to their destination, and I say, is it okay if I drop you near the main entrance? They say, yeah, okay.
In 800 meters, take exit 172, roll Banff Coach Road. Merge onto Old Banff Coach Road, secondary Ontario 563, then slide right onto Range Road 31. Slide right onto Range Road 31. Continue on Range Road 31 for 4 kilometers.
tricky to load. Basically load the machine first and then put the boards like this, or the decks. Like, check out that house over there. What do you think a house like that is worth? Overlooking the mountains. So that's west. I would say 2 million.